Good day everyone, I am Florencio Marquez Jr. and today's report is the continuation of education in global perspective. So my topic revolves in the conflict perspective perpetuating social inequality. So my partner, Ms. Jonalyn Lundag, already discusses the hidden curriculum reproducing the social class. Now I will begin discussing the tilting the test or discrimination by IQ. Did you know that even the intelligence tests help to keep social class system intact? For example, the question, a symphony is to a composer as a book is to a blank. The choices are paper, sculpture, musician, author, man. You probably have no difficulty coming up with author as your choice. Wouldn't any intelligent person have done so? In point of fact, these questions raise a central issue in intelligence testing. Not all intelligent people would know the answer. Some questions contains cultural biases because children from some backgrounds are more familiar with the concept of symphonies, composers, and sculptures than other children. This tilts the test in their favor. In other words, IQ, intelligence quotient, test measures not only intelligence but also acquired knowledge. You should know that IQ test uses words as composers and symphony. A lower class child may have heard about rap, rock, gangsta, or jazz, but not about symphonies. One consequences of this bias to middle class experience is that the children of the poor score lower in IQ tests, assigned to less demanding courses, and their inferior education direct to their social destiny, the lower paying jobs in adult. The inferior education helps them reach their social destiny, their lower paying jobs in adult life. As conflict theories view them, the IQ tests are another weapon in arsenal designed to maintain the social class structure across the generations. Next is stacking the deck or the unequal funding. Conflict theories stress that the way schools are founded stacks the deck against the poor. Because public schools are supported largely by local property taxes, the richer communities, where property values and incomes are higher, have more to spend on their children, and the poorer communities have less to spend on theirs. Consequently, the richer communities can offer highly salaries and take their pick of the most highly qualified and motivated teachers. Then they can also afford to buy the latest books, computers, and software, as well as offer courses in foreign languages, music, and the arts. This stress the conflict theories means that in all states the deck is stacked against the poor. Next, let's proceed to the bottom line, the family background. Conflict theory state that regardless of the abilities or personal abilities, children from more-to-do families are more likely not only go to college but also to attend nation's most elite schools. This in turn piles advantage upon advantage because they get higher paying and more prestigious jobs when they graduate. The elite colleges are the icing on the cake of this student more privileged birth. So, sinasabi lang dito na kapag nasa mas magandang school ka, ikaw yung ikaw yung merong mas malaking tsansa na makakuha ng mas magandang trabaho dahil sa school background no, na pinanggalingan mo. So, also, the conflict theories point out that the educational system reproduces not only the U.S. social class structure, but also its racial ethnic divisions. The U.S. school closely reflect the U.S. social class system. They equip the children of the elite with the tools they need to maintain their dominance, while they prepare the children of the poor for lower status positions. Because education's doors of opportunity swing wide open for some but have to be pried open by others. Conflict theories say that the educational system perpetuates social inequality across generations, or as they often praise it, helps to reproduce social class structure. In fact, they add this one as primary purposes. So, conflict theorists believe that the school or the U.S. Social school reflect the social class system. Now let's proceed to the symbolic interactionist perspective. Let's focus on the Riis research. In 1970, Ray Riis published a study on a relationship between socioeconomic status of children and their educational evaluation. In his study, Riis observed how a classroom teacher placed her students in 3 learning groups. The fast learners were grouped at the front of the class, while the slow learners sat at the back. The middle were the middle learners. Interestingly, Riis noticed that the social class was a predictor of the placement. Middle class student made up the group of fast learners, while lower class student made up the other 2 groups. From his data, Riis concluded that each child's journey through school was determined by the 8th day of kindergarten. The levels given to these children by their kindergarten teacher set them on a course of action that could possibly affect the rest of their lives. So dito sa Riis research, pinag-aralan niya mabuti kung paano ginugrupo ang student dun pa lang sa kindergarten life, sa kindergarten stage. Dun sa 8 days na yon, doon dinedetermine ng teacher kung saan ba dapat ilagay na grupo ang mga estudyante, at yun nga lumabas sa kanyang data na binabase ito sa placement ay base sa middle class, sa social class nila. So doon pa lang nagkakaroon na ng social inequality, kasi ang mga nasa una, ang mga ginugrupo na magagaling ay yung maganda, yung family background, yung social class, yung mga matataas ang social class. So doon pa lang nagsisimula na yung social inequality na naapektuhan yung rest of life ng mga bata. Kung mapapansin natin, kung nung tayo elementary, usong-uso yung row 1, row 2, row 3. So kung mapapansin natin, yung row 1, sila yung laging active, sila yung magagaling talaga. Yung row 2, row 3, dahil hindi sila masyadong napapansin, nawawalan sila ng atensyon. Iniisip nila na hindi naman nila kailangan mag-focus kasi hindi naman sila pinapansin. So doon pa lang parang i-assume na nila na they don't have to be that competitive. Okay lang maging easy-go-lucky sila kasi hindi naman sila yung mga nasa row 1. So yun nga ang nakita ni Riis na maling pamamaraan sa school na mas lalong bibigay ng social inequality. Next is the self-fulfilling prophecy ni Robert Merton. So, itong self-fulfilling prophecy is the false assumption of something that is going to happen but which then comes true simply because it was predicted. For example, if people believe in unfounded rumor that a credit union is going to fail because it offers embezzle their money, they all rush to the credit union to demand their money. The prediction originally false is now likely to come true. So, yung self-fulfilling prophecy is connected siya sa research kasi kung iniisip ng isang tao o ng bata na ganoon na nga siya, nasa rotary siya, hindi siya magaling, hindi niya kayang gawin yon. So may tendency na maging totoo yun kasi yun yung kanyang na-experience, yun yung kanyang nararanasan. At kahit na assumption lang yun, kapag yun yung mindset niya at yun yung mindset sa kanya may binibigay ng teachers or sa loob ng school, possible na maging totoo or yun yung kalalabasan. Now, let's proceed to the problems in US education and their solutions. So, according to the source that we use, there are three major problems in US education. Una dito ang mediocrity, next is cheating, and lastly is violence. So, iisa-isahin natin to. So, mediocrity. So, according to Merriam-Webster, mediocrity is the quality of something that is not good. A person who does not have the special ability to do something well. So, paano pinakita ang mediocrity sa US education? So, kung yung sa nakikita nyo, sa nakabox, so dito pinapakita yung mediocrity, yung mababang level ng ability ng mga students. So, doon sa una, Arizona officials give their high school sophomores a math test that covered the math that sophomores should know. But, one of the 10 pass. So, yung math test na binigay sa mga sophomore na dapat alam nila is 1 of 10 lang yung nakapasa. Ibig sabihin, napakababa ng percentage, ng passing percentage. So, doon makikita na yung mediocrity. Next is the New York City officials, in contrast, were so pleased at this test result that they called a press conference. They boasted that 80% of their students were proficient at math, and they had the test result to prove it. When the student took a federal test, the result dropped just a bit to 34%, according to Study of Medina 2009. Next is Pennsylvania officials figure out a solution to their students' miserable test result. A student who can pass their exit exam can do project instead. So, maraming hindi nakakapasa. So, nagbibigay na lang ng projects ang Pennsylvania officials. So, not to be down in this race to the bottom, Arkansas dropped its passing scores in math to 24 out of 100, according to the study of Urbina 2010. So, sa mga nabanggit kong ito, pinapakita dito yung mediocrity sa US education. So, you can see on the scores, you can see on the table that the scores dropped from 1960s to 1980. At that point, educators sounded an alarm, and even Congress expressed concern. School officials decided that they had better do something if they didn't want to lose their jobs. So they raised their standards, and the SAT scores started to climb. The recovery in math is encouraging, Today, high school seniors score the same in math as seniors did in 1960s. Administrators are requiring more of math teachers and teachers are requiring more of students. Each is performing according to these higher expectations. So, how can we solve mediocrity? First, raising standard for teachers. So, how can we solve mediocrity? To offer a quality education, we need quality teachers. Don't we meron na ba, 'di ba? Kapag magaling ang teacher, mas makakapag-produce siya ng magagaling na student. Most teachers are qualified and if motivated, can do an excellent job. But a large number of teachers are not qualified. Consider what happened in California, where teachers must pass an educational skills test. The teachers did so poorly that to fill the classroom officials had to drop the passing grade to the 10th grade level. These teachers are college graduates and they are expected to perform at the 10th grade level. So, ito yung pag-aaral ni Schemo 2002. So, if we want to improve teaching, we need to insist that teachers meet higher standard. Next is raising standard for students. What else can we do to improve the quality of education? So, in the study of James Coleman and Thomas Hoffer, 1987, provide helpful guidelines. They wanted to see why the test score of students in Roman Catholic schools average 15 to 20% higher than those of students in public schools. So, dito pinakita yung study na kinumpare yung mga nasa Catholic schools and public schools. Their findings from sophomore to senior years, students at Catholic school pull ahead of public school student by a grade in verbal and math skills. The superior test performance of students in Catholic schools, they conclude, is not due to better student but to higher standards. Catholic schools had not watered down their curricula as have public schools. So the researcher also underscored the importance of parental involvement. Parents and teachers in Catholic schools reinforce each other's commitment to learning. So these findings support the basic principle reviewed earlier about teacher expectations. Students perform better when they are expected to meet higher standards. So kapag mas hinihigpitan ng standard, mas nagperform ng maayos sa mga student. So those two solutions are the solutions to solve mediocrity in US. So if we raise standards, we can expect to upset students and their parents. It is soothing to use low standard and to pat students on the head and tell them they are doing well. But if upsets people, if we do rigorous teaching and use high standard to measure performance, mas magiging active at mas magiging positive ang outcome ng learning. So, dapat i-raise ang standard. Next is cheating. So, the cheating that the module refer is not what you saw in our social studies or mathematics class. It is referring to the cheating by teachers and school administrators. So, ito yung mga faking their graduation rates because they don't want to look bad, and the money they receive for funding will be lessened if the published report of graduation rates from the federal agencies are low. So, ano ang solution dito sa cheating na ito na ginagawa ng teachers and school administrators sa US? So, una ay zero tolerance. Develop a straightforward measurement of high school graduation and mandate all states to follow it. Dapat daw strict ang implementation ng mga rules and regulations. So a simple measure is to compare the number of those who graduates from high school with the number who entered high school in the 9th grade 4 years earlier, minus those who died and those who transferred out plus those who transferred in. So ito yung sinasabing solution sa cheating dun sa US. Kasi dito, nagpapasa ng maling data ang mga teachers at administrators. So, kapag nagbigay ng straight ng maayos na report, makikita talaga na merong cheating. So, federal officials can spot check records across the nation. With loss of job and punishment, we could expect honesty in reporting to jump immediately. So, real graduate rates would help pinpoint where the problem are, helping us to know where to focus solutions. Sabi nga dito, sabi sa isang line doon, sa module, sa resources namin na ginamit namin, if you don't know where it's broken, you don't know where to fix it. So, dapat, para maayos ang school or ang school organizations or ang problem sa schools, dapat alam natin kung saan yung problema para maayos natin ang problemang yun. Lastly is the violence. So, some US schools have deteriorated to the point that safety is an issue. In these schools, uniformed guards and metal detectors have become permanent fixtures. Everywhere, school officials fear that it could happen here. So, doon, sa school shooting are national concern. There are some bomb threats and armed sociopaths. So, ano yung naging solution ng mga US ng US pagdating sa problem na yun? So, nag-require sila ng lockdowns and code blue. So, yung code blue ay yun yung mga drills na kung saan classrooms are equipped with phone lock, so windows are locked and shades are drawn. The students are told to remain absolute silent while a school official wanders the halls like an armed intruder, listening from the slightest sound that would indicate that someone is in the classroom. So, kung dito sa atin meron tayong mga normal drill na earthquake drill, doon sa kanila hindi lang ganun, nagkakandak sila ng drill na code blue kung saan para alam ng mga students at ng mga teachers and other staffs yung gagawin kapag nagkaroon na ng violence. Then nga, kagaya na banggit kanina, school officials always wanders the hall. So, nag-iikot palagi ang mga school officials, especially the guards, para mas-secure ang safety ng mga students sa loob ng school. So, last topic is the need for educational reform. Most of the changes in educational are merely minor adjustment to a flawed system. Giving those minor changes are important in its own way, but each is about a minute adjustment to the details of system that needs to be overhauled from top to bottom. The first requirement for solving a problem is an accurate data for us to come up with rational solutions. And then again, we must know where the problem is para masolusyonan natin yung problemang yun. That's end my report, and thank you for listening. Good day and keep safe.